the U.S.-Japan Defense Alliance is broader, deeper, and indeed richer than any single issue.
Asia trip. Defense Secretary Robert Gates arrives in Japan for military talks. We'll have the latest. Biden in Baghdad. The vice president addresses boots on the ground. We go in depth in Iraq. Plus warrior resiliency. A DoD push is underway to increase the well-being of service members. We'll hear from one of the commanders in charge. And maternity ward. CB's hammer, paint, and saw. A solid future for one remote island's newest residents. Around the Services starts right now.
Now, proudly serving those who serve. This is Around the Services.
Hello and welcome. I'm Staff Sergeant Josh Hauser. Secretary of Defense Robert Gates is now in Japan. Earlier Thursday, he held a joint press conference with Japanese Minister of Defense Toshimi Kirizawa, where he said the lasting alliance of more than 50 years between the U.S. and Japan has forged an enduring and equal partnership based on interests and values that unite our two nations. And as Sergeant John Mann reports, one of those shared interests is regional security, especially on the Korean Peninsula.
Defense Secretary Robert Gates continued his visit to the Far East by visiting key leaders in Japan, including Prime Minister Naoto Kan and Minister of Defense Toshimi Kirizawa. At a joint press conference with Kirizawa, Secretary Gates stated that preventing another North Korean provocation of South Korea is in everyone's best interest.
We have seen this cycle over and over again. And I think the objective that we all have in common is how do we prevent another provocation from taking place? How do we move the process forward on the peninsula in a way that shows that the North Koreans are serious about engagement, serious about negotiation, and that this is not just a repeat of what we have seen so often in the past after a provocation of trying to reset the clock, if you will, back to where it was before.
Secretary Gates said the danger of escalation of force exists, and United States, Japan, China, and South Korea must work together to ensure stability and peace on the Korean Peninsula.
We are supportive of negotiations and engagement between the North and South, but there must be concrete evidence on the part of the North that they are finally serious about these negotiations. But all four of these countries have a common interest in a peaceful outcome.
Secretary Gates will conclude his trip to the Far East by paying a visit to South Korea Friday. Reporting from Tokyo, I'm Army Sergeant John Mann.
Now, Secretary Gates also commented on the realignment roadmap involving the presence of troops on the island of Okinawa. He said the United States fully recognizes that the issue is politically complex in Japan and that the U.S. intends to follow the lead of the Japanese government in working with the people of Okinawa to take their concerns and interests into account. And you can head to defense.gov for complete coverage of the Secretary's trip to Asia. Well, we're headed downrange in just a few minutes, but first, let's go to the Pentagon Channel newsroom for the latest headlines.
I'm Petty Officer Michael Wilkin. Heavy snowfall put a stop to most public transportation in Hartford, Connecticut. And with buses needing to be dug out of mounds of snow, a call was made to the Connecticut National Guard to lend a hand.
The governor called upon us to help out the Connecticut DOT. We sent out our guys and our equipment to pull out about 20 or so buses, get them off the roads so the DOT could plow and clear the streets, and the Hartford buses, city buses, could continue, their transportations.
The Connecticut National Guard sent 15 soldiers to assist in digging out the buses. And it's the second goodbye for the crew of USS Enterprise. The aircraft carrier and crew deployed Thursday to the Arabian Sea just weeks after saying farewell to their former commander. The Navy stripped Captain Owen honors of his command after videos surfaced of him using gay slurs and engaging in other inappropriate actions. Captain D. Mewborn is now in command of Enterprise. In an effort to go green and reduce its carbon footprint, the Army found a way to convert garbage into energy. Importing fuel and exporting garbage to and from the battlefield is expensive and puts soldiers in harm's way. So Army scientists developed the Tactical Garbage to Energy Refinery, or TIGER. The portable system converts waste into ethanol and a composite gas which is mixed with diesel fuel to power generators. That's your news update. For more military news, you can head online to pentagonchannel.mil.
Service members and civilians gathered inside the Pentagon Auditorium Thursday to remember the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Several DoD officials took to the stage and shared stories of how the slain civil rights leader represents all that is good about America and the military.
I've seen firsthand how Dr. King's legacy resonates with the men and women of our armed forces. In fact, the military has played a special role in the civil rights cause for a very long time.
For some of us, Dr. King is still a contemporary figure. For most of us, he is a figure consigned to history, like George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. And in the 43 years since Dr. King has been dead, his legacy has morphed into one with which almost no one would disagree.
Jay Johnson, who served as guest speaker, attended Morehouse College with Martin Luther King III. And coming up ahead on Around the Services, Seabees build a new future on Christmas Island. But first, brothers and sisters. We head downrange where the men and women of the 64th Military Police Company have forged a special bond during wartime. Vice President Joe Biden is in Iraq to focus on the departure of U.S. troops. Mr. Biden met with Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki and other Iraqi leaders and later became emotional when he thanked troops for their service and sacrifice.
We have many obligations, but only one truly sacred obligation, and that's to prepare and equip those who we send into harm's way and care for them when they come home. There are thousands, close to 17,000 of your comrades that have come home who are going to need extended care the rest of their lives. I visit veterans hospitals, I visit Army hospitals, I visit hospitals every single place I go. You all know some of your friends are in Brooke Army Medical Center, at their burn center. The price that some of these kids, these people have paid is beyond anything anyone should have to ever contemplate.
Vice President Biden was expected to discuss the issue of keeping U.S. forces in Iraq beyond the December 31st withdrawal date. Earlier in the week, Mr. Biden made stops in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Well, the commanding general of Regional Command South in Afghanistan says the local population has increased freedom of movement, but that a porous border with Pakistan means that so too does the Taliban. Major General James Terry briefed reporters at the Pentagon Thursday.
There has been some cross-border movement. I think what's important now is that we close the gap with the Pakistan military. I've worked with the Pakistan military before, and I'm very willing to work with them. In fact, next month I'll go over and visit my counterparts and exchange our campaign plan, where we see ourselves a year from now and 18 months from now. We do have increased coordination at the border control centers, where personnel from ISAF, Afghanistan, and Pakistan work side by side. So we just got to continue to close that gap, although it is a very porous border.
Well, no one likes getting left in the dark, and Lance Corporal Clayton Rogers takes us to Khost Province, where Provincial Reconstruction Team engineers and city officials are trying to bring forth a brighter future.
Khost Province Director of Electricity sent representatives to meet with Khost PRT to discuss installing solar lights.
They don't have enough light in the city of Khost, and previously they installed a few, but they need a lot more.
Lieutenant Commander Robert Zhang is committed to illuminating the streets of Khost and making it safer at night for the locals. But the PRT can't take care of this issue all by themselves. That's the premise of this meeting.
It's not just bring a project to them, we get them involved at every stage of the project, from designing and planning to construction, and also the sustainment of it. So make sure they have the capacity to sustain the project after we leave.
Projects like this aren't new to Afghanistan. 28 lights have already gone up in Kabul, in one of the most important commercial districts. Not only does it make the night safer, it pumps more money into the economy because shoppers can stay out later. Reporting from Khost Province, Afghanistan, I'm Lance Corporal Clayton Rogers.
The troops of the 64th Military Police Company at Combat Outpost Fortress are a family forged in the fire of combat. Captain Peter Shin takes us to Kunar Province, Afghanistan, to meet these brothers and sisters in the fight.
For these soldiers, being on the front lines in Afghanistan is all in a day's work.
The soldiers of the 64th Military Police Company at Combat Outpost Fortress include Specialist Lauren Hyman and Specialist Christine Gallagher.
I'm a Mark 19 gunner. I am responsible for protecting the truck as well as the people inside.
The MP Corps has gotten me a lot closer to combat than anybody else would see, I think, as a female.
And these soldiers have brought a little something extra to the fight.
Specialist Hyman and Specialist Gallagher have been complete combat multipliers. We've been able to do a lot of things that normally you wouldn't be able to do. For example, during Operation Enterprise, when searching for a female, it was a lot easier for us to get through villages having Specialist Gallagher and Specialist Hyman with us, because we were able to go into female rooms and search and do everything like that with them.
Another squad leader, Sergeant Logan Curry, puts it this way.
They just outperform everybody sometimes.
And a team member, Private First Class Mark Diaz, has this to say about Hyman and Gallagher.
They're squared away. They know exactly what they're doing. They do 110% all the time.
Today, that means going out on foot patrol in the Norgul district, leaving from the district center, then heading into rural Kunar province. The MPs patrol for several kilometers. When the NCOs leading the patrol sit down to talk with several villagers, Hyman, Gallagher, and the rest of the team provide security. And Gallagher has this thought about her teammates.
They're like my brothers. I protect them and they protect me.
As the MPs head back to the district center, Hyman feels much the same way as Gallagher about their fellow soldiers.
These are all my brothers. They take care of us. They treat us just like they would them.
The Afghan National Police welcome the patrol back. Hyman and Gallagher close the door on another mission, and their buddy says this.
I consider them to be sisters because we've been with each other so long, sir, that it's just, you can't react anywhere else.
For these soldiers truly are brothers and sisters in arms. Captain Peter Shin, Combat Outpost Fortress, Kunar Province, Afghanistan.
And that's a look at what's happening downrange. Remember, you can always download or watch these stories anytime on demand at pentagonchannel.mil. bump out. It'll have both of us, and then I lead into those 4 questions that I had sent.
Okay.
So yeah, just to clarify, I'm going to ask them just in that order too.
All right.
We've long been focused on physical readiness for our troops. How have we rethought that in the way we take care of our personnel? Resources available, how can people get to them? Not only troops, but our families. And then specifically about the resilience conference, what you hope to accomplish.
All right.
1 minute, guys. All right, so 2 has a 2-shot center, 1 gets the guest. 2 is actually going to start on Josh close-up.
Terry, can you punch us up so we can see it, so we kind of know where we're at? Thank you.
2. Okay, here's our guest on 1. Punch 1 up quickly, please. Okay, y'all look pretty, okay? Thank you. Quick mic check, guest, please. Quick
Hello,
mic check.
testing 1, 2, 3.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Welcome back. Well, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Admiral Mike Mullen, is leading a push for total force fitness to ensure all service members and their families are sound in mind, body, and soul. Military leaders will learn ways to engage their troops in this endeavor during the upcoming Warrior Resilience Conference. And joining me now to talk more about total force fitness is Commander George Durgan, Resilience Division Chief for the Defense Centers of Excellence for Psychological Health and Traumatic Brain Injury. Sir, thank you so much for being with us here today.
Thank you for having me.
Sir, now, you know, the military has long been focused on the physical readiness of our troops, but after 10 years of war and its seemingly nonstop deployment rotations, has that changed the way we define fitness and how we approach taking care of our personnel?
It has. In fact, Admiral Mullen saw this early on, and in early 2009, it was decided that there has to be something better that we can do. And by bringing forward a group of experts, he had 70 subject matter experts that came together through the consortium of human and performance, military performance at the Uniformed Services University of Health Sciences. And what we were able to do was to find what this piece is that we're missing, and that was total force fitness. So as a result, there was a publication in the Journal of Military Medicine that talked about total force fitness back in August 2010, and that's as we're moving forward, is this total force fitness piece for our service members.
Now, what does that look like, total force fitness? What sorts of approaches?
Well, what we're looking for is, in total force fitness, is the overall life cycle of that service member, from their family to the environment to their unit, and how does it all coalesce and make that mind and body of that service member to be more resilient, to be able to react and be able to respond and maintain the readiness to complete the mission. And that's the importance of total force fitness.
Sir, what sort of resources are out there for our troops, and how do they access those? We know that there are so many more than just 10 years ago, but what are those?
Well, it's very interesting because there are many, and the services, all the services have something. We have stuff on health.mil, but I think most important is the realwarriors.net. Here's a place that we can go to, and any service member can go to and get those resources. We can do live chat right now. Someone can go online and they can talk about their problems. There's a healthcare provider that's out there, an expert that's willing to chat live one-on-one. You can call a toll-free number on there. There's blogs available that you can blog and look at other issues that other service members have had. A lot of us have had opportunities, whether it was from Desert Storm, Vietnam veterans, and currently in our conflicts now. There's others that have had those same problems and they've been able to resolve them, and there's resources out there to get those.
Sir, not only our troops, but definitely a shift toward focusing on our families as well. Why is that so important?
Well, it's so important because it's the entire service member. It's not just the one individual, it's the family, and it's that support that comes behind them, whether it's a spouse or whether it's their mother, their father, their children. They all support them. So when it's time for them to go to combat and partake in that mission, they need to know that that family's back there, one, being supported back home, and also providing them the support that they need for that individual. So it's very key.
And what does the Department of Defense hope to accomplish with the upcoming conference?
Well, the Warrior Resilience Conference is our opportunity to bring leaders into a single location where we're going to be able to talk amongst each other to find out what those core competencies are of resilience. How do we determine those best practices? And we're going to take those and hopefully have some future instruction that's going to come out and help all the services on being able to have that core piece of resilience. And that's what the conference is going to be. It's going to be taking those line leaders, and we're going to also providing some tools that they can take back to the field, take back to their unit, and help them build that resilience in the field and be able to sustain the mission that they're working on right now.
Sir, again, thank you so much for being with us today. We look forward to seeing what comes out of the conference.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And you can find out more information about Total Force Fitness online by logging on to realwarriors.net. Well, a group of Marines recently got a chance to work on their amphibious fitness with a new Marine Corps water survival qualification. Gunnery Sergeant Jimmy Stair takes us to Camp Hansen, Okinawa for the details.
The 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit constantly maintains amphibious readiness, and the Marine Corps' new water survival program is intended to help prepare units like the MEU by providing the training needed to survive a waterborne mishap. One major change to the program has Marines wearing combat boots throughout all levels of qualification.
Realistic, we're starting them off in the uniform that they're going to be in if they're on ship, if they're on a land at, wherever they're at, they're going to be in camis and boots.
The old program taught Marines to swim with all their gear on. But Smith says the current average combat load for a Marine is 80 to 100 pounds.
Whereas with the new program, we've taught Marines to get their gear off, get to safety, closest point of safety, survive, grab the gear, live to fight another day.
Officials say the program's scheduled for implementation this March, and it's designed to reduce fear, raise self-confidence, and develop a Marine's ability to survive in water. Gunnery Sergeant Jimmy Stair, Camp Hansen, Okinawa.
Now, the 31st MEU continues to prepare for an upcoming deployment of the Asia-Pacific Theater. And coming up next on Around the Services, building for babies. A group of Seabees are busy constructing a medical facility to help women and their children on a remote island. Some Seabees recently pitched in to build a new facility for expectant mothers on remote Christmas Island. Tech Sergeant Alicia Somerville shows us how the center will help the island's tiniest patients.
20 Seabees from Naval Mobile Construction Battalion 11 out of Gulfport, Mississippi are giving birth to a new maternity ward for the people of Christmas Island.
We're finishing up the trim around the corners, the baseboard, and crown molding. We're also finishing up touch-up paint just around those trim as we put it up. Kind of gets a little messy, and the paint helps clean it up a lot.
The 24 by 80 foot structure will serve the entire island's population for their birthing needs.
This hospital will change the whole island, giving it a place to actually give birth to a baby in a proper environment.
The people are so happy with the new construction. At the moment, we are using the one room, which is not very ideal for pregnant mothers.
They have a delivery room. They also have a maternity room for the woman to go after, and also a critically ill room for where the baby will be kept. The overall impact that this building will have on the island and the people here is just so drastic.
The project is not only impacting the people of Christmas Island, it's affecting the Seabees as well.
We're just so happy to be here and give them these buildings.
Tech Sergeant Alicia Somerville, Christmas Island, Kiribati.
And we want to leave you today with video of service members taking part in an adventure run in Farah Province, Afghanistan. I'm Staff Sergeant Josh Hauser. For everyone here at the Pentagon Channel, thanks for watching.